Okay, you good to go, bro.
Alright. I was conceived from a deceptive seed planted into a toxic womb, a product of two fiends. The nourishment came from a poisonous fallopian tube. For breakfast, I consumed the potent fumes of freebase. I had Hennessy for lunch and a trick seed for dinner, as pregnancy didn't stop my mom from turning tricks to get a hit of that coke. For dessert, I got a putrid mix of ether laced with coke. The intoxicating vapor morphing my DNA into a whole new breed of heathen. I was cursed from birth and bound for conception of death. Due to my mother's drug consumption, I was brought into a world of pain, sorrow, and struggle. 3 months premature, I was addicted to drugs as a fetus. My undeveloped body couldn't function without a hit of the coke. It also could not function without the toxic mixture that involved my cell structure. It forced to rely on a life support system to keep me alive. I lay in an incubator for 9 months, approaching the vehemental journey that many in my same situation wouldn't survive. Within the first 24 hours of my existence, I was abandoned and left for the dead, cast aside and discarded like a broken used condom that littered the back alleys in which I lived in. Living on borrowed time, but alone the broken clock. Against all odds, I slowly detoxicated and started to develop into a heathen whose gift of life was a curse. Not even 6 months old, I was already shunned by society with a black label like Johnny Walker. See, a black crack baby at that time was a whole new culture that was exiled from society. My inheritance was the slums. I'm a bastard's bastard, a product of rape, and a botched abortion. I'm a cursed survivor in a decrepit way. My playpen was the back alleys that was littered with used condoms, spent needles, and shell cases ejected in the haste of war, waged in a battle to control the infested streets, consumed by the invasion of a new Jim Crow era aimed at eradicating the two races through genocide, both blacks and brown. I was raised in the hood rats, fiends, and these bricks. I ate off the streets. I often found food in the garbage cans discarded by fast food chains. Soon I became a pro. I used to go into McDonald's or Taco Bell or even Jack in the Box, order like 10 hamburgers, 15 fries, and say it was for my family, and get 2 drinks and ask for a cup, get some soda, and run out. 30 minutes later, they would put the food into the trash as it's mandated by law, and they would throw it outside. A lady named Mary, she used to do this for me all the time, based on the fact she knew my mom's situation. Many days and nights I spent with hunger pains in my belly, leaving it growling louder than a rabid pit bull that was only fed gunpowder for about 6 months. I bathed in front or backyards, under water hoses or in park bathrooms, with soap that I used to steal from Seymour. I remember walking in, grabbing toothpaste and a toothbrush, brushing my teeth in the aisle. I'm only a little kid, so they're not going to say anything. Grab a little bit of deodorant and put it on. Then we catch the bus to Macy's and spray on a little bit of cologne and walk the aisles of the mall looking for the next lick that we can hit so we can get some type of food for the night. See, my toys, they were the bats, the chains, switchblades, and glocks. I often found myself playing hide-go-seek, not with kids, but with the feds and the cops. See, they always used to try to get me to put me back into the foster homes and the group homes that treated us so cruelly that I had no other choice but to run. My favorite hiding spot, though, I'm not going to lie, it was ironic, but it was the crack house where my mom was smoking up rocks. Until I was 7 years old, I used to trip out. I used to walk right past her, and she used to look at me with no recollection, didn't even know who I was. The first meal I learned to cook, yeah, Auntie Cookie taught me how to cook a quarter of rocks. Couple teaspoons of baking soda with powder, put it in some hot water. Yeah, in a mayonnaise jar, let it cool in the oil, then you put some ice cubes in it and let it go. It turns to a cookie. That was called dry cooking or wet cooking. There's many different ways to do it. I developed the soul of a lion, the heart of a grand champ, a mouthpiece of a street pimp, and a con artist. My only role models was the killers, the drug dealers, the ballers, and the pimps. I didn't want to be like Mike. I wanted to be like Ike. Maybe even Fillmore Slim or Boy Hair, two guns on Mousy Brown. Matter of fact, what about Hot Lips, my Uncle Blue, Wally, and all the rest of the hustlers that was out there on the block getting dope, selling dope for money. They had the big wads in their pockets, the nice cars, and their warm jackets when it was cold. See, when you're surrounded by an environment filled with heathens, the only role model you can have is a hooligan or a heathen. See, with each passing day, I kept on the path of death. As the moment of conception, you are slowly dying. Don't let them fool you. From the day that you received your first breath, you're not coming closer to anything but death, if you think about it. I went to school in the streets and I learned valuable lessons that many grown men don't even learn. I was able to count before I was even able to read. Although I started being placed in many different foster homes, I loved school. Even when I would run from those homes, I still would sneak into class and hurry to do my schoolwork before they called a probation officer and run. But I was a fighter. I was still a run, only about 5'6", 80 pounds. But I learned to express my anger by channeling all my pain into hurting others. I would go from 0 to 1,000 within 2 seconds. But for me, a sack of skin and bones, this anger became a survival tactic. I was able to just react quicker than all the rest of the bullies. So no one ever wanted to fight me. Because if I couldn't beat you with my hands, one thing for certain, two things for sure. I'm coming back, and I will pick up something to hit you with. So, as I developed as into a youth, I wasn't able to shut my anger off or turn it on calls. So I was placed in special schools. Every school the foster parents would send me to, I was at the top of my class. I wasn't in special ed because I couldn't read, write, or spell. I was in special ed because I had little patience and I had an anger problem. So I would get off on the teachers. I'd fight other students. I'd do stupid shit. I was so far ahead of my class that they wouldn't even give me no more schoolwork. Whenever I was able to stay in class, I've always been a street smart and book smart. But my downfall was I became an idiot savant when anger clouds my thought. See, when I get mad, I forget everything. I see little red spots and sometimes I black out. It's here that I stop to let the ones hearing this and feel this and to comprehend what I'm feeling. Remember, in order to be a survivor, one must first face immense atrocities and pain and struggle. See, because pain and struggle is the underlying meaning of survival. I was the king of kings, and I learned at an early age that kings die but gods arise. I also learned at an early age that most people don't understand what a real survivor is. A survivor can only be brave and courageous when you look fear into its eyes. Everybody wants to go to heaven, but I bet you that preacher don't even want to die. So I learned. I used to sit out there and watch my mom with tears in my eyes as she turns tricks for the hit six coat. She's ran down shabby. Now she's in a wheelchair rolling around out there in the streets. What is it, 42 years later, still smoking coke. It's a shame. It's a shame that she didn't want me. But every time she looked at me, she would tell me, "You look just like your fucking father." And my father was the one who raped her. And that's why she became a fiend, she says. She says she started smoking coke just to escape the pain. So therefore, I became a punching bag for her. Her escape was drugs, but my escape was life. I couldn't escape from it. So no matter how far you run, I learned that you can never run from yourself. So I started doing dumb things to try to get attention. I threw rocks through classroom windows and try to be the toughest guy in school and the funniest. Sometimes I tried to be even a comedian. At that time, everybody was learning the snaps. That used to be the funniest thing. Cats walking around talking about your mama's so dumb. She thought a snowfall was a motherfucking blimp. You know, stupid shit. But we used to crack up and go at it. Get mad because you talk about my mama and want to fight. I remember kids found out that my mom was a prostitute. And they used to always talk about, "Oh yeah, my dad fucked your mama last night." At first it used to hurt, but then I came up with a slick response. I used to tell people, I don't got no mama. I got 2 daddies and they both gay. So which one is you fucking now? It usually shut them up real quick and cats would leave me alone. If that didn't do it, yeah, I still had that chain and that switchblade. I was quick to use those things at all times because I believed in shedding tears of blood when you grieve. Some say, what does that mean? Tears of blood when you grieve? It means that you make the next person feel your pain. You make them feel your anger. You make them feel the spite that you felt your whole life. I couldn't escape these things, so I started smoking weed and getting drunk. Hennessy was my favorite escape route. I would smoke weed and drink Hennessy and pop the pills of Ritalin and everything else that they told me that I had to take because I was ADHD. Wasn't ADHD. I was just seeking a home. I was seeking love, something that I could never find before. I couldn't even look inside myself and say I love myself at times because how can you love yourself when the person who gave you life that's supposed to love you the most has discarded you like a fucking news ride? It's amazing that I'm not the only person that goes through this. Every day in society, there's many different youths that walk the streets in the same shoes I've walked in. But yet, white America and the government sit up there and tell you that there's many opportunities for you no matter where you come from. You couldn't even walk a mile in my shoes, let alone 3 steps, because you couldn't even fit my attire. It's crazy how I sit here and you lock us up in a community behind a community because we're the worst of the worst is what you say. You lock us up in cells at 6x5. I can touch both walls if I extend my arms. I get my tray that's so close to my bed that I got to tilt it sometimes to get it in. My front door is appropriated. It got holes in it. There's no privacy. And the toilet is right there by the door. We're sitting here for 24 hours a day for 3 days, and then we go out to the yard 2 hours. But for the rest of the 22 hours, we stuck inside a cell with another man. A cell so small that if you put a pit bull or 2 pit bulls in it, you get a ticket for animal cruelty. But yet they stuff us in there for 23 and 24, 28 years, 35 years, 11 years, and they claim that we're still part of it. Oh, you're still doing gang activity. How am I doing gang activity? I don't even have connections to anybody. I can't even see the outside world. People that's on the prison yard, I don't have no communication with. So how the hell am I still involved in gang activity? They hated when they had to let us out. When they had to let us out the shoe, some of us came out more distorted and fucked up than we did when we went in. But some of us, we still stood strong. We understood that if you push, pull, and strive, that you can't stop. We won't stop, and we sure the hell won't be stopped because we're black and brown. We're in Douglas and East Momaine. For my whole prison term, for the first 15 years, we rode side by side as allies. We were the fear of the yards. Nobody understood that they could. Everybody understood that they couldn't take us, not us. And Douglas, hooked with the East Momaine brothers. Northern Brown brothers, they worked out every day. They worked like machine. Machine don't need water, but they function as one, such as a machine would. See, most people don't think. They think that if they're a clique, that they can automatically take over, but they don't possess the mind state to do so. When you lack the mind state and you try to force someone to do something out of fear, fear is the most deadliest thing in life. So I want everybody to understand that these prison walls ain't nothing but a warehouse. Thank you for listening to my story.